What's up, the squad? Back with another video. Seeing the title's going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. See it right here. This is Congressman Randy Fine. One thing about it is that you see a whole completely, different transition, a change, when it comes down to Mandani's New York right now. And I say that. I know a lot of people wonder. It's just based off of the things that's going down, in New York and how things are shifting. It almost makes me think, it's a reason, we've been talking about this whole topic for a while, when it comes down, to obviously Zohran Mandani, as well as the things that's going on with his mom and, the stuff with Epstein. I find it completely wild, a lot of those things. But right here says mainstream Islam has taken over New York, and we are all dealing with the consequences. Check it out right here.
It is infuriating because what happened when Mohammed arrived is they killed everyone who wasn't a Muslim. I think Mandani is telling us exactly what they plan to do in the United States. And for him to invoke Mecca, a city that you cannot enter if you are not a Muslim, just shows how appallingly delusional these people are. Look, mainstream Islam is evil, and an evil man is the mayor of New York, and now we all have to live with the consequences of it.
It's definitely, crazy, the things that has been going on. I'm not going to lie. This individual right here in particular just discusses, some of the things that's going on, in New York. Check it out right here.
All right, I'm Sweeney, and since Zohran Mandani wants to start deleting comments which are good faith critiques of his administration, just like Joseph Stalin did, just like Fidel Castro did, just like Maduro did, I'm going to give you my take in 60 seconds or less of his first 30 days in office, all right? Let's start off with his appointments. He appoints someone to housing who said, and I quote, home ownership is a weapon of white supremacy. Okay. Then he appoints someone who in 2020 said, I don't give a damn if they burn down Target. Then he appoints two violent ex-convicts. Wonder how their victims feel. Then he stands up before the podium and says, New York City unfortunately has a $12 billion deficit. Well, that's just napkin math, you brainiac. That's exactly what happens when we give $12 billion to illegal migrants instead of back the taxpaying citizens themselves. Then the winter starts. 14 people die right off the cuff because he'd rather virtue signal and win popularity contests than doing the right thing like a leader should do by clearing the homeless encampments. Then 2 days ago, he goes to the hospital to visit a knife-wielding man who almost stabbed an NYPD officer in the face. Then yesterday, a man named Jermaine Parnham is arrested. And it turns out that Jermaine had 32 prior arrests under your justice system, Zohran. Before you turn around and try to pass the buck and blame other people, you're mayor of a city council with 51 members, and 45 of them are Democrat. The power to change is sitting in your hands. You are just refusing to use it. And now, I know I can't speak on behalf of all New Yorkers yet, but I can speak on behalf of all New Yorkers who have their eyes open when I say as follows. Vote of no confidence.
Y'all got it right here. Like I said, it's a lot truly, that is going on. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely a lot that's going on. It's definitely, crazy that so many people are constantly complaining about how Zohran Mandani is doing and the things that's going on in New York City right now. But a lot of those individuals that's complaining, a lot of those individuals that are doing things, they again, this is something that they have to take in with themselves because I myself, as well as y'all, I know a lot of y'all are on X, on different social media platforms, literally spreading out a lot of this knowledge and things that's going on. And people aren't understanding that is definitely, in a sense, important for people to understand what's going on and let them know, obviously, what that this is basically something like this is not, it's not going to work. But again, knowing individuals and seeing, they have to blame themselves. They truly have to blame themselves. This right here says is Wall Street Apes. It says right here, a Muslim man named Don Mahmoud flew to New York and met with Zohran Mandani. This man is now running for a House seat in Georgia. Since meeting with Zohran, he's been posting. This is crazy. This takeover, this Islamic takeover of America is truly insane. Check it out.
So I'm running for Congress here in Georgia, and I discovered something very disturbing. There's a guy named Don Mahmoud who is running for House District 109 here in Georgia for a Georgia House seat. He recently flew to New York to have a visit with the new mayor, Zohran Mandani. And when he came back, he started hashtagging everything Decision 168. Now, that's not a law. It's not a state law. It's not a federal law. It's an ideology. and its activism language for no borders, mass migration, and basically a takeover. So what happens is this guy, it happens slowly. He'll get into our government. He'll change the infrastructure. He'll pass laws that allow people to take over. It's actually really scary. And here is a few photos for y'all. And it's happening all over the country.
Mm-hmm. Definitely insane. I'm not going to lie. It's definitely insane. Definitely crazy. You have it right here. It says Don Mahmoud in New York City. New York is New York. No caption needed. But here we are. Concrete jungle dreams from Brooklyn streets to Manhattan skylines. Pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely pretty wild. It's him and Mandani right here, y'all. I'm telling y'all, the things that's going on with Mandani is definitely wild, definitely insane, and I just don't understand it. This is something right here. I'm sure many of y'all have seen, even them saying we know about your mom, with the whole thing with Epstein. There's a lot that's going on, but these are the individuals that I talk about when I say these are people that have voted for him, that supported him in the beginning. Now everybody's turning their back because of this. And one thing, again, they have to blame themselves for even putting somebody in this position. Check it out.
That's right, we know about your mom. Now listen, we was with you, Zoran. We voted for you, Zoran. We advocated for you, Zoran. We advocated for you. You ain't getting up, get up in there and lie to us. You lied, Zoran. Shame, Zoran.
Shame! Shame!
The first lie was CCRB, Zoran.
Shame!
So as y'all see that, people are definitely, pretty pissed about it. Most definitely. One thing about this though, said it's just like that Zoran Mandani quit posting about Epstein Island. And one thing about it, you have his mom. It's really just a lot going on with a lot of this. I truly find a lot of this interesting. That's why I'm trying my best to stay on top of it. You constantly have individuals, blaming obviously Trump when it comes down. I said this before, and we're gonna get more into that as well. But I find it very interesting on how many individuals from the left blame, Trump, and others rather than themselves, and you find out more and more about things. And that's why I say I find it very interesting on how you would just see just how somebody could be planted, to be in this position. It's a little odd. It's definitely odd. Right here, again, as Zoran Mandani is trying to push Islam on Americans. The Prophet Muhammad's wives were younger than the girls on Jeffrey Epstein's island. Islam has no place in America. Check this out.
I think of the freedom from suffering that Buddhism teaches us is only possible if we remove the three poisons of desire, hatred, and ignorance from our daily lives. We need not accept suffering as unchangeable. We need not treat hatred as the natural state. We have the power to set ourselves free. And I consider my own faith, Islam, a religion built upon a narrative of migration. The story of the Hijrah reminds us that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a stranger too, who fled Mecca and was welcomed in Medina. Surah An-Nahl 1642 tells us, as for those who immigrated in the cause of Allah after being persecuted, we will surely bless them with a good home in this world. Or as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Islam began as something strange and will go back to being strange. So glad tidings to the strangers. If faith...
As you see, if y'all notice, there is a, you can find plenty of videos, but you see just how quickly Zoran Mandani changes and the way that he's changing things. If y'all look back and just see, how he was before, he got elected in, and then, when he, obviously won, speaking, and now, it's just odd. the way that he's pushing things and the way that the way that he's doing things is very odd. I don't know about y'all, but I find a lot of it odd. And that's why I'm trying my best to stay on top of it. This right here, I don't know how to say her name. I'm pretty sure it's Miranair. It's Mandani's mom. Says the Epstein files revealed. This is back then. I don't want y'all to think this is something that's new. This is not a new interview. But this interview, I'm pretty sure, obviously was after, because it said the gathering took place after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted as, a file. I'm sure y'all know what that is. If y'all know what I mean, can't say search on here. In 2008. So y'all can check this out.
I was offered it, and it's coincidentally one of my favorite novels. Since I was 16 in an Irish Catholic boarding school in India, I was steeped in English literature, and it was a book I read under the covers, and never forgot Becky Sharp, because she was like us. She was a woman who was determined to make her own way, and I loved that. And read this novel over the years many different times, and Focus Features, who had distributed Monsoon Wedding, for whom it was a big hit, offered it to me, just not knowing that I had a history with it. And so it was very...
So they were thrilled when you told them that this is a film that a novel that you love.
I love, and it's a novel that is, a banquet of a novel, a great epic sort of saga, and it's not a novel to distill so quickly if you've just read it for the first time.
So as most of y'all know, I find a lot of it, again, very odd. Within this, being around Bill Clinton, Jeff Bezos, obviously Jeffrey Epstein, just being around, and, his family, I find a lot of it very odd, and a lot of it very, I don't know, it's just weird. And it's weird on how, this individual just got placed. I don't know. I try not to get too deep off into it, but I definitely feel as if it's more to it. This just goes back to show you, this is Trump. This is President Trump. Like, literally saying, this is something that, has been proven for thousands of years that this has never worked. Check this out right here.
Thank you very much. It's a great question. It's a little like New York. You're reading in Argentina about New York. We have a problem. We have a communist who's 33 years old, doesn't know a damn thing. Practically, he's never worked a day in his life. And he sort of caught on, right? And I'm not going to send a lot of money to New York. I don't have to. The money comes all through the White House. And if they're going to be sending us stupid policies, communist policies, which is proven for thousands of years doesn't work. We don't have to prove it again. We're not going to ruin one of our great cities, because we'll make that great. We will clean up the crime in about 30 days. It took 12 days to do Washington, D.C., so New York is bigger. And Chicago, we've already made a lot of progress despite fighting from the government, but Chicago's doing great. Memphis is doing really great. We have great support there from the political leaders. They said, please come in and clean up crime. And we love it. We've in 1 week, Memphis is so good. It's so much better. We'll have it within a month. We'll have that into a safe city again. And all of these cities, we want to clean them up. We don't like that opposition.
And as y'all see, even though, I say that things are changing, things are pretty bad, when it comes down to the trash, when it comes to what Mandani is doing, when it comes down to the snow. One thing about it, they had posted that the month of January was obviously the safest, month that New York has had, and obviously a lot of that credit goes to President Trump. Obviously, they're going to try to say that, Mandani and, these individuals have... A lot of this goes to President Trump, the FBI, and ICE. I definitely have to give that, to President Trump and the Trump administration for the things that has been going on, with crime being down. But that doesn't take away the fact that New York is doing really, really bad, with Mandani right now. I definitely say. Definitely wild. I'm not going to lie. This right here, this is another post from Latina Brown. Says right here, newly unsealed court documents reveal that back in 2006, Donald Trump contacted police about Jeffrey Epstein and reportedly described Ghislaine Maxwell, I hope I'm saying her name right, as Epstein's evil operative, which is pretty wild. President Trump should seriously consider suing every media outlet, celebrity, and politician who knowingly defamed him. The facts aren't black and white, yet many still push misinformation to mislead voters, which they truly do. And they've been doing this for a while. And one thing about it, you have people that support Trump that are very, very strong. I mean, look at me. I'm telling y'all, when it comes down to it. And that's what you need. You definitely need that. And you just see how people are obviously, I ain't gonna say, I guess you can say changing, but waking up to the fact of what's really, what's real. You know what I mean? Definitely. Says this behavior is shameful and disgusting. I can only imagine how his wife, grandchildren feel watching the president be relentlessly defamed despite documented evidence. I left the Democratic Party for a reason. That party has a long track record of destroying people's reputations and lives for political gain, which you see that on a daily basis. I mean, it's definitely true. It's nothing, that is a surprise. You truly see it every single day, and it's definitely sad. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate every single last one of y'all. Stay tuned for more videos. Catch y'all next one.